What would happen if you took the 12 finest race drivers in the world?
He's spinning down the front stretch, back stretch, they're going into top 9.
We've got an accident off the start.
All of the greatest racing drivers in the world.
And he's going to give him a little help. There it is. Whoa!
He's up inside Bell. You see, he's made Bell spin. Unbelievable.
The premise, of course, is to determine who would be the world's greatest race driver.
Bobby Rahal and Michael Andretti tangled with one another.
Here comes Jeff Gordon around Zanardi.
Son and father touch coming down on the line. Oh, Dale Jarrett wins the race. Kevin Harvick is the champion of IROC 26.
Well, it's finally been done in an international race of champions.
ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, welcomes you to the World Center of Racing for the True Value International Race of Champions. Today from Daytona International Speedway, it's race number 1 of IROC 27. Hi everyone, I'm Bob Jenkins. Welcome once again to another series of IROC races, 4 of them this year as per usual. This year, however, the field is made up of half rookies, so it should be a very interesting 4-race series. And of course, the starting lineup for this first race was determined by a draw that was held, and it turned out to be a very interesting front row, as we learned from Dr. Jerry Punch down on pit road.
Well, Bob, I'm not sure if even Walt Disney could have scripted a more fascinating front row than this one. The 2 drivers who will lead this all-star field down to the green flag on the high banks of Daytona actually spend most of their time on the 1/4 and half-mile dirt tracks of the Midwest as our most recent World of Outlaw Series champions. On the outside front row, Danny the Dude Lasowski, and on the pole, Steve, the King of the Outlaws, Kinzer. And if you think they may be overmatched somewhat, guess again, because in 1994, this man surprised them all by spanking them at Talladega and pulling off the win. Steve, what do you have to do to win here today?
Well, you know, it's you got to have a little help, and you know, you never know who's going to help you when you get out there, so you just got to feel it out. You know, me and Danny was thinking about maybe trying to run together, but you never know if that happens or not. Let's hope we can get together, both of us get a good finish.
Okay, good luck to you. Bob, the big question is, can Kinzer, Lasowski, and the open-wheel outsiders beat NASCAR finest here at Daytona?
And I have just the person to answer that question, one of our 2 driver experts in the booth today, Scott Goodyear.
And Bob, all these open-wheel drivers know they come here with a steep learning curve ahead of them. Danny Lasowski started from the outside of row 1 last year, his first race on pavement in his career. The drivers know they don't have much experience in these tracks and these cars, but they do know they have to position themselves right in the draft on that very last lap if they want to win.
We know who's in the front row, but the defending champion is way at the other end of the grid. Here once again is Jerry Punch.
Well, last year, Kevin Harvick became just the 6th rookie driver in IROC history to win the title in his first year out, and the first since Ricky Rudd back in 1992. Today, he begins the defense of his title on the inside of the final row. And, Kevin, I should say, who or what are your biggest concerns here today?
Well, I think they're all big concerns. They're all champions in their own divisions, and I don't know. We'll just have to see how it all shakes out. These IROC cars are a lot of fun to drive, and me and Biff are back here on the back row, so that should be interesting enough in itself. But it's going to be a lot of fun, and these cars draft so well that I think everybody's a concern.
Hey, good luck to you.
Thanks, man.
Bob Jenkins, Harvick epitomizes the contingent of new, young, talented, and extremely aggressive NASCAR drivers here today. They should make it fun to watch.
Now, Lasowski, Kinzer, and Mark Martin are in their 40s. The average age of the rest of the field, 28. Our other driver expert in the booth today is Jeff Burton, the driver of the number 99 Citgo Ford for Jack Roush Racing. And does that mean we're going to see a more aggressive style of racing than we see before in IROC?
Well, when you have young guys coming into a series, they're looking to make their way and make a point that they're here. We also have open wheel guys. They want to make a point that they're in a stock car environment and they want to come and do well. So I think those two groups are going to be very aggressive. But don't forget, the most experienced and also the most successful person in IROC is in this race also, and that's Mark Martin. So you have experience and success. You have youth and success. It'll be quite a race.
Mark Martin, a 4-time champion among those ready to go for 40 laps of racing, 100 miles in the first race of IROC 27. ESPN Speed World coverage of Race 1 of IROC 27 is being brought to you by John Deere. Nothing runs like a deer. Now let's take a look at the lineup for today's race. On On the pole from the O'Reilly World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series, Steve Kinzer. And alongside in row number 1, also from the World of Outlaws, Danny Lasowski. Kinzer will be driving the black car. Lasowski will be in silver. In row 2 from the IRL IndyCar Series, Sam Hornish Jr. Also in row 2 from the NASCAR Winston Cup Series, Jimmy Johnson. Hornish, the two-time IRL champion, will be in purple. Johnson will be in the rose-colored IROC car. Row number 3, also from the IRL IndyCar Series, Felipe Giafoni. And representing the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, Mike Bliss. Giafoni will drive the aqua-colored car. Bliss, the defending truck champion, will be in red. In row number 4 from the NASCAR Winston Cup Series, Ryan Newman. And also from the Winston Cup Series, starting 8th, Mark Martin. Newman, last year's Winston Cup Rookie of the Year, will be in the cream-colored IROC car. Martin will be in green. Row 5, representing the NASCAR Winston Cup Series, Kurt Busch. And two-time Indy 500 winner, Helio Castroneves. Busch will be in orange, and Castroneves will drive the medium blue car. And in row number 6 from the NASCAR Winston Cup Series, Kevin Harvick, and representing the NASCAR Busch Series, Greg Biffle. Harvick, the defending IROC champion, will be in gold, and Biffle, the 2002 Busch champion, will be in light blue. Quite an honor to be named to the IROC team, and there it is for the 2003 season. 40 laps of racing coming up, and look, only 5 non-NASCAR drivers have ever won an oval race here at Daytona in the IROC series. But a lot of hopeful short track and open wheel drivers want to change all of that. Well, we have 6 onboard cameras for you today, from the pole sitters, Steve Kinzer, right on back to Kevin Harvick, who starts back in 11th position. It's kind of overcast here today. Sun will not be a factor at the moment, and there isn't a great deal of wind. What little wind there is blowing down the tri-oval. The field over in turn number 3 now, about to get the green flag for 40 laps of racing. It's interesting to note that most winners have come from the pole position. That stands to reason. However, nobody has won an IROC race from the 3rd, 8th, or 9th starting positions. 21 oval races and 1 road course in the series. Well, we're just about to see who is the best, at least here at Daytona, in this first race of IROC 27, as Kinzer in black and Danny Lasowski lead them down through the tri-oval to get the green flag, and the 105th race in IROC history is underway. Steve Kinzer takes the lead out of turn number 2, and Lasowski drops in behind, but Jimmy Johnson, who started in 4th position, is going to lead a high drafting line as they come off of 2 and down the backstretch.
I would think right now everybody's just looking to kind of get in line, figure out who they can run with. Everybody wants to lead laps, though, because you pay points for leading the most laps. So leading laps is real important. You just can't ride around and wait for the end. So everybody's going to be trying their best to get to the front. Look for somebody who can work with, who will work with them. Everybody can work with each other, but the question is who will work with who.
Good onboard shot looking back from Kinzer to Danny Lasowski, and notice how closely Lasowski pulls up on Kinzer as they hit the stripe for the first time in complete lap number 1, and Kinzer was shown as the leader. Now they're going to get a little aggressive and go 3 wide into the corner.
Yeah, Harvick was one of the guys right there trying to find the middle line there through the tri-oval, probably trying to get himself towards the front, but I got to think about all those open wheel guys, especially Felipe Giafoni. Had never seen an IROC car or a stock car before. He was actually testing in one earlier this week here in Daytona on Tuesday. A big learning curve for him. He's got to be a quick study. And I remember my first time coming here in an IROC car, what a thrill it is to take the green flag. But then you also feel like, boy, I really don't know what's going to go on out here.
Like, what have I gotten myself into? That was my first thought.
Well, you can see that high drafting line has taken command here as Johnson has the lead as they come down the tri-oval to complete the second lap of the race. It's Johnson followed by Bliss, then Martin, and then Kurt Busch. And we notice Ryan Newman right about this point on the racetrack last lap get very close to that yellow line you see to the left. Jerry, what's the ruling on that in IROC?
Well, Bob, a year ago, Tony Stewart used that yellow line to make some passes late in the race and win this race. As you see some of the passing happening 3 wide as one car caught in the middle sliding back. The rule is this: if you are on or below the yellow line, you will be black flagged. You cannot go below the yellow line. Mark Martin didn't do that, but he did take the lead.
Well, Johnson from first to fourth here in just a few feet as the veteran Mark Martin has gone to the front of the field with Kurt Busch in tow.
Everything's normal in the world. Mark Martin's leading the IROC race. That's probably how it's supposed to be. He's got his Winston Cup teammate Kurt Busch giving him a good push, but you won't be teammates long in this deal. This is all for you, nobody else.
Well, it's interesting. Those guys started 8th and 9th, and they find themselves up there, so maybe they do know the secrets around Daytona and stock cars and drafting. And I'll tell you from the open wheel guys, speaking to them, they always say we're always learning here. You think you learn in the test, but you're out there with 4 guys. You start the race, there's 12 cars out there. Life is different.
That's a great shot right there. You could really see the top of the car, the fin on the top of the car. That's there to make drafting much more exciting. It just makes such a wake that the car behind just really gain very quickly, and that's why this race will be good side-by-side race, and nobody will lose a draft unless, you know, if you were to have to lift out off the throttle and lose a lot of ground, you could lose the draft. Other than that, no one should be out of this pack.
More of a wake, more of a hole in the air than with, say, a Winston Cup car?
Oh, these generate a huge hole in the air, and the cars are much more aerodynamic, so it doesn't take as big of a hole to really take advantage of it. You can see the middle is not where you want to be right now. If you get in the middle the way that Harvick's done, it just seems to pull you back. Now, if a lot of people get in the middle may work, but 1 or 2 cars in the middle is not going to be the way to go.
Well, that's Danny Lasowski there in the silver car on the inside. Behind him is Felipe Giafoni. And oh, Felipe gets up and bumps Lasowski down the backstretch.
He's not shy, is he?
Absolutely not. Felipe having such a great season in 2002 in the IRL IndyCar Series that gained him recognition for a berth in the IROC Series. Mark Martin is continuing to lead here at Daytona International Speedway in IROC. I don't think there's anybody that isn't wondering how Danny Lasowski in that white car is going to do. Oh, Sam Hornish, Castro Neves came together.
Elio Castro Neves in a backup car now goes to lime green. Hornish's car scraped up, but should be okay to resume.
Oh, contact between Harvick and Sharp there. Look how close Castro Neves is drafting on Stewart. Oh, there's Harvick up to bump draft once again. Stewart and Hornish. There will be no move, and Tony Stewart wins round 1. That was last year at Daytona. Here we are this year in some incredible racing, especially in the back of the pack going on. And you can see that Kinzer has fallen all the way from his starting position up front and the area that he ran in the early part of the race. And now he falls to the back. Here's what happened on the backstretch last lap.
Well, he tried to squeeze it in at 3 wide, and you can see the car. He just went, turned left, and he had to turn it back right, and he ran to the side of Hornish. That's just air that does that to the car. You lose air, you gain air. When it does, it moves the car around.
And from an on-board perspective now, Heavy comes up, gives us a little bit of a bump draft.
Don't you wish you could do that on the interstate?
No. Well, Mark Martin continuing to lead here. This is Ryan Newman.
You can see Ryan moving his hand around in the car. He's telling the guys behind him, hey, just line up. Just don't try to pass each other. Stay in line so we can catch back up to that pack. If these guys stay in line, they will catch back up. And he's not wanting anybody to get beside him because they will lose the draft if they do. That's Newman, then Kinzer, Hornish, and Bliss. And we might mention that Sam Hornish had what can only be described as a terrifying crash here in a practice session a couple of days ago that's left him sore but able to compete.
I think I would call that huge, Bob. I talked to him afterwards, and he said he was sore. He ended up going right up to the wall after a little altercation in practice with some other drivers, and he said, I'm sore, got out of the hospital, but I want to run.
And more from the doctor on pit road, Jerry.
And guys, I was here when Sam Hornish hit the wall in turn 1 and 2 head-on Tuesday afternoon. A testament to how well these IROC cars are built by Jay Signori and his team. And as you said, Hornish had the Hans device on and head-on at 170-some miles an hour. He's got a bruised sternum and some sore shoulders, but able to walk away and talk about it. A little bit sore in the backside because of the belts, but otherwise okay here today.
And now Mark Martin out front sees the field behind him begin to gather up 2 by 2, even 3 by 3 as they swap positions. That, of course, is Johnson in the rose-colored car running in second position. Then Kurt Busch in orange. That's Danny Lasowski, who's doing a great job hanging up there in the third, sometimes fourth position. And then behind him, they've got a 3-wide battle for position.
You know, you forget they're running 188 miles an hour. You know, it looks like they're running about 70. These guys are going almost 190 miles an hour while this is going on. It's just incredible to how much control these cars have and how good of a job these drivers are doing.
And such a difference for the open wheel guys here, Jeff, as you talk about that, because we're always used to 3,000 pounds of downforce on the car, a lot of grip, but these cars are 3,500 pounds compared to 1,500 on an Indy car, for instance. A lot more horsepower in Indy car. These things just move around a lot, and that's the biggest thing an open wheel driver has to get used to, along with the drafting when they come to play here at Daytona. And those guys look like they're playing right now.
Look at Harnish. Wow, he went from the inside lane all the way to the outside to try to pass Kurt Busch, who's in the middle now with Kinzer below. And Jeff, you're right, it took absolutely no time for those 4 cars who almost got out of the draft to get in line and come back up.
And in many cases, when you're in the car, when you're in a group that's in the back and you're catching the cars that are in front of you, that is an advantage. You wouldn't think that being behind is an advantage, but when you catch them with so much momentum, you can just slice through the pack and you can decide where you want to go, not let other people decide where you want to go. And that's a big difference in catching the group from the behind. What Mark's going to do here, the goal of this race for Mark Martin right now is to stay on the bottom. With that yellow line rule, Jimmy Johnson cannot turn left and go under him. Mark Martin's going to make him go on the outside. And the great thing about keeping the bottom blocked up is that you're always going to get help. You will always have a guy that can come up and push you on the bottom. If you get on the outside, sometimes you get caught off by yourself.
Now, Jeff, if I may ask one question.
Oh, that was a big block.
Whoa, huge. Now he's looking on the low side. But, you know, you guys have spotters in these Winston Cup cars. There's no spotters. There's no radio communication for the drivers here today. Are these guys looking in their mirrors?
They spend more time in the mirror than out the windshield. I mean, that is truly what you... Oh, hold it.
Castro Neves.
Nice save.
Oh,
great
beautiful save.
Look, see if he won't lose the draft, maybe.
No, but his heart rate's going right now, I'll tell you that.
Man.
That was a nice save.
He's got a standing ovation from the people here in the stands.
You know what he did? He did not overcorrect that car. And that was the worst thing you can do in these cars is get the wheel turned back too far to the right. That thing will catch and turn right and head straight to the wall or through the whole pack. He did a masterful job right there. That was wonderful driving.
Elio has dropped to the back of the field. Let's hope he doesn't lose the draft. Here it is once again as they were at the end of the tri-oval headed for turn number 1. And, oh, he had contact with Martin, and Martin did a nice job, too.
They both did wonderful. Everybody did a good job. All the stars lined up for us on that one.
Mark Martin and Jimmy Johnson are battling for the lead in this race with 12 of the 40 laps completed.
He got in the back of Johnson, and when he did, his car kind of went up the track, and then he got in the back of Martin. And we talk about bump drafting, but listen, you don't want to bump draft in the tri-oval. That is a bad place to be doing that. You see him, he's running up, he's going to bump draft him, but he hits him when he's turning the car.
Yep.
And when he did, it made his car turn right.
He got his hands full.
Great job.
That's a bigger steering wheel than he's used to. I'll tell you that. If he turned that much in Indy car, he'd be in deep trouble.
But he did not. What's amazing about all of that is he is still in the lead draft. He did not lose a draft. He's still in this race.
While we were watching the replays, we had a shift of positions. It's Jimmy Johnson now leading with Kinzer second, then Busch, Giafoni, and Mark Martin, who led several laps of this race, is now back to 5th position. 13 laps completed at Daytona. Back here at Daytona, sliding through the grasses, Steve Kinzer. He and Felipe Giafoni got together here in the tri-oval, and it sent Kinzer into a long slide, but he did not hit anything. The car has stopped down at the entrance to turn number 1, and we do have a yellow out.
I bet he's really glad the yellow's out. He's got 4 flat-spotted tires, and he's going to have to come in and get tires on his car. He's got to be careful right here, too, going around. The tires could blow out and tear the fenders off the car, and then he just wouldn't be able to keep up anymore. So he needs to not go too fast here.
Well, the nice thing with IROC is that the yellow laps don't count, so he's not going to go down a lap. They bring everybody in and line them up, and off they go.
Steve Kinser's a 17-time World of Outlaw champion, and there is Giafone, who got out of shape, and as he corrected, he hits Steve.
Yeah, I don't know if Mark got into the back of Steve. It looked like, I'm sorry, Giafone. It looked like Giafone turned sideways in the trial. I don't know if Mark, made contact with him, and when he did, like as you said, he had to correct and went up the racetrack, and Steve was up there minding his own business.
And really, it happened at a pretty good position on the racetrack. Yeah, there's the contact, because to Kinser's left right now is concrete wall, but he slides past it and doesn't hit anything except a lot of grass and dirt. This is from on board Steve's car.
It's a normal every day at the office.
Not mine. Kinser, of course, won the IROC race at Talladega in 1994. Jerry, pit stop underway here.
Indeed, Bob, and if anyone's accustomed to handling a car when it's sideways, it's this guy here, the king of the outlaws, Steve Kinser. But as you said, you guys mentioned that when these tires shred because of being flat, it will take some of the bodywork and some of the inside panels away. These IROC crew members now having to raise the hood on Kinser's machine and look inside to see how much damage there is in the front end. 3 of the 4 tires are down and shredded, and now they will try to pull some of the debris and sheet metal away from the belts in the engine compartment here in the front of Kinser's car.
So Kinser will get reshotted and should be able to get out there without losing a lap. The yellow is out, and of course, as Scott said, the yellow laps do not count. NHRA drag racing next weekend. We have coverage on both of our networks at 11:30 on Saturday on ESPN2. Then NHRA Today at 11 o'clock Sunday on ESPN2. Then the finals at 4 o'clock Sunday on ESPN, and at 8:30 Sunday night on ESPN2. For more, log on to ESPN.com. The 27th True Value IROC Series underway here at Daytona. Our aerial views courtesy of the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. With us is Goodyear's Blimp Stars and Stripes, continuing a 78-year tradition as the aerial ambassador and icon of the 105-year-old company. Just about to go back to green now. A couple of things have happened here. Kurt Busch is going to go back to the last row for the restart. That's because he did go below the yellow line here in this incident that sent Kinser spinning, and he did advance his position, and so that is a penalty. Now here's the contact between Giafone and Kinser right there that sent Kinser sliding down to the grass in turn 1.
Yeah, when Kurt went under him, it slowed those 2 guys down, and then those guys caught him, and Mark got into the side of him. The reason drivers like the yellow line rule is it keeps wrecks from happening, but the reason they don't like it, because in Kurt Busch's defense, he was underneath Steve Kinser, and Steve Kinser turned left and ran him below the yellow line. So in that case, you have got a lift to keep from passing. When you made a nice clean pass, you've been penalized for you didn't do the wrong thing.
Yep.
But the yellow line overall is a good thing, but every now and then you get a situation where one driver gets hurt from it, but it's made racing safer. Even though, if Kurt would have lifted in that situation, the wreck wouldn't have happened. Although Kurt did nothing wrong, because trying to pass somebody is what you do as a race car driver. It's a really tough rule.
Yep. All right, 2x2 restart. Here we go. Johnson is up front. Martin behind him in green, and Giafone is on the outside in the aqua color cars. They gain speed once again. Everybody is still running. Steve Kinser there in the back in that black car. Looks like may not be able to stay up with the draft. Maybe something occurred to the car as he went down sliding through the grass. But 3 wide here as Busch tries to regain some of the spots he lost on the penalty.
Yeah, being penalized here to the back is not a huge penalty. Certainly it's frustrating, but it won't keep him from winning this race, in my opinion.
And Kinser did not lose the draft, Scott. In fact, he sucked right up.
Got right up there. You remember, he came out on cold tires, though. Those other guys have had their warm tires on. He had his tires replaced. Maybe he was just a little cautious through the first banking, and then he seemed like he gassed it going down the backstretch.
Jimmy Johnson, 27 years of age, has the lead here over the veteran Mark Martin. Johnson from El Cajon, California, the 2002 Winston Cup rookie who won 3 times in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. California, and both times at the tough Monster Mile in Dover. Jerry Punch.
And Bob, on Wednesday they had a blind draw to pick car colors, and to no one's surprise, no one wanted the rose. They called it pink car, but unfortunately Jimmy Johnson ended up with it. He said he raced against a guy in motorcycle racing that had a pink motorcycle, and he was unbeatable. Then someone told him that Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s very first race car was pink. He said, I guess if you got a pink car, you better be tough. I better win this one today.
Yeah, he's doing fine. He actually comes from a off-road background, won 6 championships in off-road, and Jeff, you've raced against him, and he seems to be a very, very talented young man.
Oh, he is a very, very talented guy. He's hooked up with Hendrick Motorsports. He does a great job for you in Winston Cup wise, but he is a really, really good driver. There's no doubt about it. And I'm going to tell you, leading Mark Martin at Daytona in your first IROC race, that is a thrill. It is like, you know, it feels so good to be in IROC. But then to be leading the race, man, I'm telling you, that is a great feeling.
If he wins it, he'll be the first since 1989 when Rusty Wallace became a winner in his first IROC start.
Was that when Rusty had the afro? Remember his Rusty Wallace had the big hair?
Yeah, I sure do.
I thought that was cool. I wish he'd bring it back.
There's Kinzer, who is now just ahead of Greg Biffle.
Trying to make a move there.
And up into the 3rd position already is Kevin Harvick, the defending champion of the International Race of Champions. It's Giafoni, then Bliss running 5th. Behind him is Lasowski, Castro Neves, then Hornish, Kinzer. Make that Hornish, Biffle, Kinzer, Newman, and Busch.
Looks like they all decided to behave for a little while.
Yeah.
Everybody's gotten lined up. Nobody's really made a move to double anything up. As soon as one guy makes the move to get double up, the whole rest of the field will get doubled up, and we'll get back to that good side-by-side racing.
Mark Martin has 10 wins in the International Race of Champion, but how many wins does Mark Martin have in stock cars in 89 starts here at Daytona, including Busch, of course, Winston Cup, and IROC? How many wins, Jeff Burton? Tell me.
Including Busch, Winston Cup, and IROC.
At Daytona?
I would say none.
You're close. 1. That came in the butt shootout in 1999.
Okay, I did know
By the way, I guess the same thing. Jerry?
I remember him winning that race now.
Hey, guys, Mark Martin said despite his 33 Winston Cup wins, maybe the most memorable part of his career has been winning his 4 IROC titles and beating one Dale Earnhardt Sr., and particularly winning 3 in a row. But the last time Mark Martin won the IROC title back in 1998, he had to beat a very impressive rookie IROC driver who won that year at Michigan. That driver he beat for the championship is sitting beside you in the booth, Bob Jenkins. Jeff Burton.
Yep. All right, now Mark is tucked in on the rear wing of Jimmy Johnson. Mark has never won an IROC race here at Daytona. He has been competing at this track 8 times in IROC. His best finish was back in 1997 when he finished in 2nd spot. He's the only driver to win 3 consecutive IROC titles, those coming in 96, 97, and 98.
These guys in the back, Hornish Jr. and Newman, they've decided to try to make something happen. And, you know, they're sitting there in a line. They're not going anywhere. They can't, you know, they're not going to gain any position. So they decided to try to stir something up and try to get their way to the front.
As they come down this time, they will complete the 20th lap. We will be halfway through the first round of the 27th IROC Series. And now Hornish heads to the outside and tries to form a drafting line at the top.
Another problem with the yellow line rule is that people try to use the yellow line as a blocker. So you're always cutting each other off because you know if you can drive somebody below the yellow line, they have got to lift. So the yellow line in most cases is a good thing. But again, what we saw there was he knew if he returned left and got the other guy below the yellow line, that guy would have to lift and he wouldn't make the pass. So the yellow line is very controversial. Some people just don't like that yellow line rule, and some people do.
And in one ways, it's a little bit of a lost leader here. I noticed just from the one IROC race I participated in, you know there's pavement on the other side of that yellow line. If it was grass or something where you know you're going to be in deep trouble if you dropped your wheels on it, you'd probably really clear away from it, and the driver on the outside of you probably wouldn't be so forceful to put you there.
There's several drivers in this field that we have literally watched grow up here on ESPN in our coverage of various forms of auto racing. One of them is Ryan Newman. who, of course, got his start in USAC back in the Indiana area. Is from South Bend, Indiana. He was the '99 USAC Silver Crown champion and the 2002 NASCAR Winston Cup Rookie of the Year. Has a degree in vehicle structure engineering from Purdue University.
What is that?
I don't know. I guess it means that it probably helps him design cars that get through the air well, I would guess.
Well, I tell you what, it works. He knows what he's doing.
That's Mike Bliss there in the back, another guy that is from the USAC ranks that we watched on Thunder for many years. But not a whole lot is happening up front. A lot of changes back here for 5th on back, but the top 4 running in single file formation. They include Johnson, Martin, Harvick, and Danny Lasowski. And hats off to the dude who's run a very competitive race.
He's hung in there real well. Kurt Busch has stirred some stuff up there in the back. He's made his way all the way back up to 5th. Trying to beat that penalty. He has 17 laps still to get it done. I think you can win from the back with the amount of laps he had left to go. I don't think being in the back would prohibit him from win. And I think he'll be a contender when it's over. He's really, really good on these restrictor plate races and these races on super speedways. It comes natural to him, and he will be a force to contend with.
That is him up ahead of Elio Castroneves. Busch is in orange. Castroneves is in the medium blue car. And now Harvick takes a look to the inside of Martin.
Martin just left a little hole there for him, and Harvick took it. Kurt Busch ran up with Mark to see what happens. Now we'll get doubled up.
Yep.
Let's see which line goes the best. Hey, Mark's going to pull up on the outside of Jimmy Johnson. Hope Kurt Busch stows with him. Mark's almost cleared him.
It's interesting to see what these drivers do, something the open wheel guys we had to learn very quickly here. With these cars with the wheel wells and the fenders, a driver pulls up beside, pushes the car over, and puts some air in the wheel well there to slow the car down. It's an art that you really have to learn here as we see some real bump drafting going on with his fendered cars.
And Kurt Busch just pushed Mark Martin right up through there, and he bump drafted him and knocked him and hit him, and drove Mark to the front, and it drove Kurt Busch to the front. That's aggressive driving, and it paid off.
We talked a bit earlier about the aggressive driving. I think I'm seeing a little bit more bump drafting and nudging and moving around this year than I recall here last year. And we talked a little bit earlier about the younger drivers here as we got some more contact going in, and a great save, actually. Big Busch.
Yeah.
Did you see the roof flap? It came completely up on that car. That shows you how much air matters. When the roof flap came up on that car was turning sideways. It had no air on it. These guys, they've decided it's time to figure out who's going to win this race, and they are going at it.
Man, this is good stuff. 24 laps completed. They're on lap number 25 of 40, and there is the field. They're running within 7/10 of a second of each other as they came down last time. 7/10 of a second separating 1st and 12th.
I don't know about you, Jeff, but I'm sort of getting excited sitting up here in the booth.
This is really hard, tough racing.
There's a contact between Harvick and Busch that sent the roof flap on Busch's car all the way up.
Yeah, that's not, the impact didn't knock it up. That was just when Harvick went up there, it just shoved the air off the top of the car, and it created a vacuum, and it sucked that roof flap right up. That is a great example of how much air matters to these race cars.
Now Harvick has moved to 2nd position, and Danny Lasowski, low on the racetrack, is going to move to 3rd. Back with more in a moment. True Value IROC 27. NHRA drag racing on ESPN and ESPN2 next weekend. We begin with qualifying at 11:30 on Saturday, then NHRA today at 11 o'clock Sunday. The finals begin at 4 o'clock on ESPN, and the culmination of the weekend on ESPN2 at 8:30 Sunday evening. For more, log on to ESPN.com. 20 laps to go now in the first race of IROC 27 here at Daytona International Speedway. And as you can see, we have a new leader. It's Kevin Harvick. He was running 2nd to Mark Martin, then got some drafting help from Jimmy Johnson, and away he went.
Just flew right by him, and Mark gets back by Jimmy Johnson, which I think was big, because now Mark's in 2nd, and I'm not sure that 2nd isn't where you want to be late in this race. Jimmy Johnson was that far from clearing him and being 2nd, but if Lasowski can pull up on Mark here, I can assure you there'll be a bid for the lead. And I don't know if you want to be leading this race with 1 to go or not.
By the looks of things, people won't be too bashful about going up there and giving you a little nudge.
Mark's wanting it right now. Mark's side by side with him.
And look who Mark Martin is getting drafting help from. Danny Lasowski and Steve Kinser. And despite that long slide through the grass that must have scared the heck out of Steve Kinser, he is back up to third spot and doing a heck of a job.
Those two World Outlaw guys are hooked up together. Let's see, as hard as they battle on the racetrack, let's see if in this environment they will work together to try to get a first and second for the two of them.
And Sam Hornish Jr. now from the IRL IndyCar Series is running in fourth spot.
Harvick went all the way back to 11.
Yeah.
From leading to 11.
He was on that outside lane. Nobody went with him, and he was stuck.
That'll humble you pretty quick, won't it? That's a big deal.
Back down to Dr. Jerry Punch on pit road.
Hey, guys, these cars have 35-gallon fuel cells, and I'm told by the IROC engineers they will burn 26 gallons during this race. That's about a 200-pound weight transfer from back to front. My question to Jeff and Scott is, what will that weight change do here in these final laps to the handling of these cars?
Historically, the IROC cars start out loose. The back end wants to drive the car, and the more you run, the tighter they get. But in talking to Dick Trickle and some of those guys that test these cars all the time, they didn't have as much change from the start to the end of the run as they normally do this year for some reason.
And I can tell you from an open wheel guy getting involved in these cars, like we mentioned before, going from 1,500 pounds in an Indy car to 3,500 pounds for these things, you really feel the weight and the movement around you, and they weren't that bad at all. From the start of the race to the end of the race, it was not that much change.
Still seeing some swapping of positions here in the back of the field as we've completed now 33 laps. We're on the 34th lap of the race. Martin continues to lead with now Lasowski, Kinser second and third, and Sam Hornish and Ryan Newman completing, or make that Kurt Busch, who has moved up to the 5th position.
The big loser in that exchange was Ryan Newman.
Yeah.
He was running 5th, and now he's going to be running about 10th, 9th or 10th, and took himself out of really good position. There's still a lot of time in this kind of race. Anything can happen, but you certainly would rather be closer to the front.
Jimmy Johnson looking for a line on the racetrack in that rose-colored car. Right behind Greg Biffle in light blue.
Scott, I don't know about you, but anytime I was in this kind of position, what I'm trying to think about is not what I'm going to do in this lap, but what am I going to do on the last lap? So what that means is, what do I need to start thinking about in positioning myself in the race car to put that car where it needs to be to try to win the race? And it's the hardest thing to do, to think about what's going to happen when you have no idea what's going to happen, but that's what you have to do in this kind of race.
And I know as an open wheel guy, when I did this, and I'm sure some of the open wheel guys see the same thing that I did, you look around to see who's got stock car experience, because you know they're probably going to be towards the front. It's not that you want to leave your open wheel guys sort of on the back bench, if you will, but you know that the guys with the stock car experience are probably going to be closer to the front than maybe your colleagues that you race with every weekend.
It's Kurt Busch trying to get underneath Hornish. Didn't quite pull it off, but
had to fall in behind Sam and stay in the 5th position. And Jerry, we're getting down to the last few laps here with Martin still in the lead. How's he going to handle it?
Well, Bob, 4 times Mark Martin has come here and taken the white flag in an IROC race as the leader, but he has yet to make it back to the checkered as the winner. I wonder if that will impact where he wants to be here on the final lap. He has yet to win an IROC at Daytona while leading 4 times entering the final lap.
And how about the dude here right on Mark Martin's rear wing as they head off of corner number 4 and come down to complete lap 36.
What inevitably was going to happen, and here it is right here. Someone makes a move just like Hornish did. He's trying to position himself to win the race, but what it does is stirs everything up behind it, and now you have different people that are going to determine who the winner of this race is. And you have Kurt Busch and Greg Biffle, who are teammates and raced together a tremendous amount. Now they are 3rd and 4th. They put themselves in position. Hornish made a move, and he came out the loser.
Kinser and Hornish having contact in turn number 1, and Sam is pushed to the high side of the racetrack and now finally gets back in line, but will lose several positions.
Hornish has hit once this week, as you mentioned, Bob. I'm sure he doesn't want to do that again. All these IRL guys will leave here and go down to Homestead to start testing for the race, so they don't want to be going off bruised and battered, I think, as Sam is right now. A little sore from that impact the other day.
Ryan Newman has lost the draft, but all 11 cars other than that are staying right together and battling for position as Mark Martin comes down and completes lap number 37. 3 to go.
That green car is going to get really wild. I can assure you of that. I'll be real surprised if anybody gets underneath Mark this late in the race. The move's going to have to be on the outside. Mark's going to use that yellow line as a pick. He is not going to let somebody get behind him. I think Kurt Busch knows Mark Martin really well. He knows how Mark Martin drives. The key to Kurt Busch is, what is Greg Biffle going to do? When you're running 5th or 6th, you may not can win the race, but you try to make a move to finish 3rd. That impacts what the guy that's running 3rd can do at that time. If everybody's willing to just line up and go past Mark, Mark won't win this race. But you're trying to get the best finish you can get. And sometimes when you're running 5th, finishing 3rd is the best you could get. And if you don't care who won the race, you're not going to win the race anyway. So who decides when they want to make a move to get the best finish they can do, like Hornish did a little while ago, that's going to have the impact on who wins this race. Harvick's given quite a push there, trying to get that line going.
Steve Kinser comes to the inside and passes Harvick.
And this could impact it also. Now you have 3 cars in the front, and you have another group that's doubled up. So you don't have as good of a pushing group behind Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch is in 3rd, no longer has a pusher. So he can't push the guy in front of him as well. That's exactly what Mark Martin wanted to see.
And here comes Mike Bliss in the red car up to the 7th position.
And in the blue car there in 4th is Greg Biffle, and he's going to be coming because he's got to run now. He cleared him. He's got to run. He's got a good pusher. He's going to be coming.
White flag, 1 more lap to go. And look at Jimmy Johnson go to the inside of the racetrack, trying to get the inside of Steve Kinser, but unable to. Well, can Danny the Dude Lasowski pull off a win here in IROC 27 at Daytona? Now we watch Kurt Busch as he will try to get to the inside of Lasowski, but Danny's going to make it wide, and Busch once again goes way below the yellow line. He knows that if he improves his position, it'll be a penalty. Lasowski makes the car as wide as possible. He stays in 2nd. They're all over the racetrack behind as Martin has a bit of an edge now.
Mark got way out in front. He's going to have a tough time blocking those guys. He got too far in front because they slowed down.
Here they come to the line. It is Mark Martin going to win. Busch finishes 2nd. Lasowski is 3rd, and Jimmy Johnson 4th. Greg Biffle will end up in 5th position. Wow, Martin wins his 11th IROC race in his career. Tied for all-time on the leader list. Round 1 of True Value IROC 27 to the veteran, Mark Martin. Mark Martin now is tied with Dale Earnhardt and Al Unser Jr. with most wins in IROC 11. He wins the first round of IROC 27 here today at Daytona International Speedway. In victory lane is Jerry Punch.
Earlier, Mark said all the talk about youth, exuberance, and aggressiveness, and I'm the old guy, hope they're easy on me. Well, he spanked them here today at Daytona. Mark gets his very first win in IROC competition at Daytona. And Mark, great effort here, particularly on that final lap, holding everybody off.
Yeah, just about got too far ahead there. They were racing there behind me, and I just about got too far ahead. Man, they were coming with a big head of steam, but I was so close to the finish line, I just wanted to hurry up and get there. You know, we hadn't won much here at Daytona. I just want to thank Jay Signori and all the folks from IROC and True Value for supporting this. A good year for supporting this series. I haven't been able to be a part of it the last couple of years. And I actually had to think about it, whether I wanted to come back, you know, when they invited me, because I had such a great record. But, you know, this gives me a shot at Earnhardt's record. We're tied for 4 championships, so we're off to a good start. We'll go after this thing.
And Mark Martin ties Dale Earnhardt Sr. and Al Unser Jr. for the most wins in IROC history with 11, and that big smile today indicates how excited he is about being in True Value IROC's victory lane.
And no question that he is going to be a force to be reckoned with during the entire IROC season this year. Here's what happened as they went down the backstretch. Kurt Busch is doing everything he can to get to the inside of Danny Lasowski. But he was unable. He did finally pass him coming out of turn number 4, so Busch did finish in 2nd position. Lasowski was 3rd, then Johnson, Biffle, and Steve Kinser comes back from that long slide to finish in the 6th position. Harvick, Hornish, Bliss, Giafoni, Castroneves, and Ryan Newman completed the finishing order here in the first round. So with A great crowd gathered here at Daytona International Speedway. We will look forward to round number 2, and these will be the points. Now, Martin led 21 laps today, Johnson 14, Harvick 4, and Kinzer 1. And the second race will be at Talladega. That will be Sunday, April 6th at 1 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN as we continue to cover all 4 races in the 27th year of the True Value International Race of Champions. My thanks to Jeff Burton and Scott Goodyear for their help here in the booth, and to Dr. Jerry Punch on pit road. We'll see you at Talladega. Thanks for joining us from Daytona. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.